You think you are tough? You think because you can survive a modern commute, the stress of a 9-to-5 job, or the chaos of the 21st century, that you could handle history. You are wrong. Welcome to London, 1888. It is the capital of the world, the beating heart of the British Empire, and quite possibly the most efficient killing machine ever built by human hands. History books will tell you about the glory of the Victorian era. They will tell you about the palaces, the industry, and the wealth. Or, if they want to scare you, they will tell you stories about a single killer hiding in the shadows named Jack. But Jack the Ripper is the least of your problems. He is a distraction. The real threat isn't hiding in the shadows with a knife. The real threat is everywhere. It is in the air you are breathing right now. It is in the water you are about to drink. It is in the bread you hold in your hand. The very room you sleep in is a biological weapon designed to break you down, cell by cell. If I dropped you into the East End of London right now, with your modern immune system and your soft lungs, statistics say you wouldn't make it to sunrise. You would be dead within 24 hours. So, let's play a game. Let's strip away the romantic myth of top hats and cobblestones. Let's walk through a single day in 1888 to see exactly what kills you. The clock starts now. You wake up. It is technically morning, but you wouldn't know it. There is no sunlight streaming through your window. There is only a thick, yellowish-green haze pressing against the glass. Your first instinct is to take a deep breath to start your day. That is your first fatal mistake. In 1888, you don't breathe air. You breathe what the locals call the pea super. This isn't just fog, it is a chemical soup. London is burning millions of tons of coal every year in open fireplaces and uncontrolled factory furnaces. But it's not just carbon you are inhaling. It is sulfur dioxide. When that sulfur rises from the chimneys and mixes with the moisture in the heavy English fog, it undergoes a chemical reaction. It turns into mild sulfuric acid. Every breath you take burns. It has a distinct taste, metallic, like pennies and rotten eggs. For a modern person, the immediate reaction is violent. Your bronchial tubes constrict. Your eyes water uncontrollably. You start coughing, and when you look at your handkerchief, the phlegm is black. This is the London particular. Doctors call it bronchitis. In the East End, it is the #1 killer. It wipes out entire families in the winter. It kills more people in a single week than any serial killer will murder in a lifetime. But you can't stay inside. You have to move. You have to find food. So you wrap a rag around your face and step out onto the street. And now you have to face the ground. As you step onto the street, look down at your boots. That thick, brown sludge coating the cobblestones. It isn't mud. London in 1888 runs on horsepower. Literally. Tens of thousands of horses work in the city every single day. Each one of those horses produces roughly 15 to 30 pounds of manure every 24 hours. Do the math. The city is drowning in millions of pounds of dung every week. It coats the streets. It dries into a fine dust that flies into your mouth when the wind blows. It mixes with the rain to create a permanent toxic slurry that reaches your ankles. There is no municipal street cleaning service here. Not really. Instead, you have crossing sweepers, often desperate children or the disabled, who will sweep a small path for you in exchange for a penny. If you don't pay, you walk through the filth. And hidden in that filth is tetanus, typhoid, and 100 other bacteria your modern body has never encountered. All it takes is a stumble, a slip on the wet stones. You scrape your hand against a brick wall to catch your balance. It's a minor cut, a scratch. In the modern world, you would wash it and put on a bandage. In 1888, that scratch is a death sentence. Antibiotics are still 50 years away. Germ theory is barely understood by the average person. That scrape will fester. Gangrene will set in. You will develop a fever, then delirium. You will die of blood poisoning within a week, all because you slipped on a dirty street. But let's assume you are careful. Let's assume you keep your balance. By now, the acid air has made you hungry. You need to eat. It is noon. You reach Spitalfields Market. It sounds like a safe haven, a place of commerce and food. But in Victorian London, the grocery store is a battlefield. There is no FDA here. There are no health inspectors checking the stalls. There are no best before dates. This is the golden age of food adulteration. You walk to a baker's stall. You buy a loaf of white bread. It looks pure. It feels heavy and substantial. You think you are getting a good deal. You are wrong. The baker has mixed the flour with alum, a chemical used in laundry detergent, to make the bread look whiter than it naturally is. Worse, to increase the weight so he can charge you more, he has added crushed chalk, plaster of Paris, or even ground animal bone. You are not eating food. You are eating construction materials. You feel thirsty, so you buy a glass of milk. It looks thin, slightly blue. That is because it has been watered down from a dirty river source to increase profits. To hide the blue tint, they add dyes. To stop it from going sour in the heat, they add boracic acid. You are drinking a cocktail of pond water and industrial preservatives. In 1888, milk is one of the leading causes of infant mortality. Not because of a lack of nutrition, but because the milk itself is toxic. And the meat? Look closely at that red steak hanging on the hook. It looks fresh, doesn't it? That is an illusion. The butcher has likely rubbed it with red ochre and fat to hide the green rot underneath. Or perhaps the meat came from a diseased animal that died in a field, not a slaughterhouse. Every bite you take in 1888 is a gamble. Your stomach begins to cramp. Dysentery is common, but you can't stop, because in the East End, if you don't work, you don't eat tomorrow. So, despite the pain, you find a job. Welcome to the workforce. There are no unions here to protect you. No safety goggles. No mandatory breaks. You are raw material, cheaper than the machines you operate. Maybe you find work at a matchstick factory. It seems easy enough, dipping wood into chemicals. But look at the women working next to you. Look at their jaws. They are suffering from a condition called phossy jaw. The white phosphorus used in the matches is eating away at their bone structure. It starts with a toothache. Then the gums swell. Then the jawbone literally dies and begins to glow green in the dark. Eventually, the jaw has to be surgically removed or the infection hits the brain. This isn't a rare accident. It is an expected occupational hazard. Or perhaps you work on the docks, unloading the massive ships coming in from the Empire. It is heavy lifting. Cranes snap. Ropes break. If a crate falls and crushes your foot, you are fired immediately. There is no workman's compensation. There is no disability check. If you lose a finger, you wrap it in a dirty rag and keep working because you need the penny. If you lose a leg, you become a beggar. And beggars in 1888 have a life expectancy measured in months. But you are lucky. You survive the shift. A whistle blows. The sun begins to set. You have survived the air, the food, and the machines. But now, the real danger begins. Because in 1888 London, the day is for suffering. But the night, then for predators. The sun has gone down, and a different kind of fog rolls in, a psychological one. The workday is over, but there is no comfort waiting for you at home. In fact, you probably don't have a home. You have a few pennies in your pocket, and your body is screaming from exhaustion. You need relief. You need to forget. You step into a gin palace. It stands out like a beacon, bright lights, polished glass, the smell of juniper and sugar masking the stench of the street. This is where the poor come to drown the day. But be careful what you order. The gin here isn't the refined spirit you know today, nicknamed Blue Ruin for a reason. To keep prices low, distillers mix raw alcohol with turpentine, sulfuric acid, and sugar. It burns your throat, not with warmth, but with chemical fire. It rots your insides just as surely as the bad food, but it does something else. It makes you aggressive, or it makes you unconscious. Look around the room. You see mothers feeding gin to infants to make them stop crying so they can sleep. You see fights breaking out over a spilled drop. This isn't a social gathering. It is mass medication. The entire East End is intoxicated because reality is too sober to handle. You drink your glass. The pain in your chest fades. The hunger dulls. But now, the bar is closing. You are pushed back out into the cold, and you need to find a place to close your eyes. You have 4 pennies left. That is the price of survival tonight. You head towards Dorset Street, a place the police are afraid to enter alone. You are looking for a common lodging house. From the outside, it looks like a normal brick building. Inside, it is a scene from Dante's Inferno. You pay your 4 pennies, a 4-penny dark, and you are led to a room. The smell hits you first. It is a physical wall of odor, unwashed bodies, damp wool, rotting wood, and ammonia. In a room designed for 10 people, there are 50. There is no ventilation. The windows are nailed shut to keep the heat in. You don't get a room, you get a bed, if you're lucky. These are called coffin beds. Wooden boxes shaped like coffins on the floor, lined with straw that hasn't been changed in months. The straw is alive with lice and fleas. As soon as you lie down, they begin to crawl on you. But you are too tired to care. If you don't have 4 pennies, maybe you have 2. For 2 pennies, you don't get a bed. You get the rope. This is exactly what it sounds like. A thick rope is strung across the room like a laundry line. You drape your body over the rope, leaning on it with your chest, and you sleep hanging up, packed shoulder to shoulder with strangers. In the morning, the landlord cuts the rope, and everyone falls to the floor to wake up. This is where diseases like tuberculosis and smallpox thrive. You are breathing the same recycled air as 50 other coughing, dying people. If the person sleeping on the rope next to you has typhus, by morning, you have it too. But tonight, the lodging house is full. The sign on the door says no beds. You are back on the street, and now you are truly vulnerable. It is midnight in Whitechapel. The gas lamps are few and far between. They don't illuminate the street. They only create pools of yellow light that make the shadows deeper. Visibility is less than 10 yards. You are walking through a maze. The East End is a labyrinth of alleyways, cul-de-sacs, and slaughterhouses. This is the domain of the high-rip gangs, violent criminals who don't just rob you, they mutilate you for sport. You hear footsteps behind you. They match your pace. You stop. They stop. There are barely any. In 1888, the Metropolitan Police are underfunded and overwhelmed. They walk specific beats at specific times. The criminals know exactly when the constable will pass and exactly how many minutes they have until he returns. If you scream, no one will open their window. In this part of London, opening your door to a scream is a good way to get killed yourself. And yes, there is him. The predator. The papers are calling Jack. But he is just one monster in a city of monsters. The fear you feel walking down these dark alleys isn't just about one man with a knife. It's the realization that you are completely alone. If you fall here, the city will simply swallow you. You have survived the gangs. You have avoided the knife, but the cold is setting in. Hypothermia is a quiet killer. You have one option left, the place everyone fears more than death, the workhouse. You knock on the heavy wooden gates. They open. But admission comes at a price. By entering the workhouse, you forfeit your freedom. You are stripped of your own clothes and given a rough uniform. You are separated from your family, husbands from wives, children from parents. You may never see them again. Inside, it is a prison disguised as a charity. To earn your keep, you must perform hard labor, breaking stones, picking oakum, tearing apart old tar-covered ropes with your bare fingers until they bleed. The food is gruel, barely enough to keep you alive. The workhouse is designed to be terrible. The government made it that way on purpose to discourage the poor from asking for help. They would rather you die on the street than burden the state. Standing in that cold stone hallway, realizing you have lost your freedom for a bowl of watery soup, you understand the true cruelty of Victorian London. It doesn't hate you. It just doesn't care if you exist. The sun begins to rise. The fog lifts slightly. You have made it. You survived 24 hours. But look at yourself. Your lungs are burning from the sulfur. Your stomach is cramping from the alum bread. Your skin is itching from the lice. Your spirit is broken by the fear. And the worst part? The whistle is about to blow. The factories are opening. The cycle is starting all over again. You have to do this again today, and tomorrow, and the day after that. We look back at the people of 1888 in black and white photos. They look grim. They look old before their time. But we should not look at them with pity. We should look at them with awe. They survived an environment that would kill a modern human in days. They endured the poison air, the toxic food, and the brutal labor. They built the foundations of the world we live in today. So the next time you complain about your commute, or a cold cup of coffee, or a slow internet connection, remember the rope beds of Dorset Street. Remember the taste of coal in your throat. Remember that you are living in a paradise built on the bones of those who survived hell. Welcome to London. Mind the gap between history and reality.